Thomas Hearns is an American former professional boxer who competed from 1977 to 2006. Nicknamed the Motor City Cobra, and more famously the Hitman, Hearns' tall, slender build, and oversized arms and shoulders allowed him to move up over 50 pounds in his career, and become the first boxer in history to win world titles in 5 weight divisions: welterweight, light middleweight, super middleweight, and light heavyweight. Hearns was named Fighter of the Year by the Ring magazine, and the Boxing Writers Association of America in 1980, and 1984, the latter following his knockout of Roberto Durán. Hearns was known as a devastating puncher throughout his career, even at cruiserweight, despite having climbed up 5 weight classes. He is ranked number 18 on the Ring's list of 100 greatest punchers of all time. He currently ranks number 78 in BoxRec ranking of the greatest pound-for-pound boxers of all time. On June 10, 2012, Hearns was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Hearns was born in Grand Junction, Tennessee, on October 18, 1958, the youngest of 3 children in his mother's first marriage. With her second marriage, 6 children joined the first 3. On her own, Mrs. Hearns raised Tommy and his siblings in Grand Junction until Tommy was 5 years old, then the family moved to Detroit, Michigan. Hearns had an amateur record of 155-8. In 1977, he won the National Amateur Athletic Union Light Welterweight Championship, defeating Bobby Joe Young of Steubenville, Ohio, in the finals. He also won the 1977 National Golden Gloves Light Welterweight Championship. Hearns began his professional boxing career in Detroit, Michigan, under the tutelage of Emanuel Stewart in 1977. Stewart had changed Hearns from a light-hitting amateur boxer to one of the most devastating punchers in boxing history. He won 6 major world titles in 5 weight classes during his pro career, defeating future boxing Hall of Famers such as Jose Pipino Cuevas, Wilfred Benitez, Virgil Hill, and Roberto Durán. In addition, he won the EBO title at cruiserweight. Hearns started his career by knocking out his first 17 opponents. In 1980, Hearns carried his 28-0 record into a world title match against Mexico's Cuevas. Hearns ended Cuevas's 4-year reign by beating him by TKO in the second round. Hearns was voted Fighter of the Year by Ring magazine in 1980. In 1981, Hearns, the WBA champion, with a 32-0 record, 30 KOs, fought WBC champion Sugar Ray Leonard, 30-1, to unify the World Welterweight Championship in a bout dubbed the Showdown. In this fight, Hearns suffered his first professional defeat when Leonard stopped him in the 14th round. In the 13th round, Leonard, behind on points on all 3 judges' scorecards, needed a knockout to win. He came on strong, and put Hearns through the ropes at the end of the round. Hearns was dazed, totally out of gas, and received a count but was saved by the bell. Leonard, with his left eye shut, and time running out, resumed his attack in the 14th. Hearns started the round boxing, and moving, but after staggering Hearns with an overhand right, Leonard pinned Hearns against the ropes. After another combination to the body and head, referee Davey Pearl stopped the fight. Hearns and Leonard banked a combined $17 million for the fight, making it the largest purse in sports history at the time. The following year, Leonard retired due to a detached retina, and there would be no rematch until 1989. Hearns moved up in weight, and won the WBC Super Welterweight, 154 pounds, title from boxing legend, and 3-time world champion Wilfred Benitez, 44-1-1, in New Orleans in December 1982, and defended that title against European champion Luigi Mancillo, 42-1, W12, Roberto Durán, TKO2, number 1 contender Fred Hutchings, 29-1, KO3, and number 1 contender Mark Medal, 26-2, TKO8. During his reign at this weight, the 2-round destruction of Roberto Durán, in which he became the first boxer to KO Durán, is seen as his pinnacle achievement, earning him his second Ring Magazine Fighter of the Year award in 1984. While remaining super welterweight, light middleweight, champion, Hearns ventured into the middleweight division to challenge undisputed middleweight champion Marvin Hagler in 1985. Billed the fight, later known as The War, this bout has often been labeled as the 3 greatest rounds in boxing history. The battle elevated both fighters to superstar status. Hearns was able to stun Hagler soon after the opening bell, but he subsequently broke his right hand in the first round. He did, however, manage to open a deep cut on Hagler's forehead that caused the ring doctor to consider a stoppage. The fight, however, was allowed to continue at this point, with the ringside commentators remarking on the fact that, "The last thing Hagler wants or needs is for this fight to be stopped on a cut." The battle did go back and forth some, but Hearns was unable to capitalize on his early successes against Hagler. As a result of breaking his right hand, Hearns began to use lateral movement and a good jab to keep Hagler at bay as best he could. This tactic worked fairly well, but in the third round Hagler staggered Hearns and managed to catch him against the ropes, where a crushing right hand by Hagler knocked Hearns down. Hearns beat the count but was clearly unable to continue, and the referee decided to stop the fight. Despite the loss, Hearns garnered a tremendous amount of respect from fans and boxing aficionados alike. Considering the popularity of the fight and the level of competition, a rematch seemed to be a foregone conclusion and was highly anticipated, but it never took place. Hearns quickly made amends by dispatching undefeated rising star James "Black Gold" Schuler with a devastating first-round knockout in 1986. 1 week after the fight, Schuler was killed in a motorcycle accident. Hearns presented the NABF championship belt to Schuler's family at his funeral, saying he deserved to keep the belt as he had held it longer than Hearns. In March 1987, Hearns scored 6 knockdowns of Dennis Andries to win the WBC light heavyweight title with a 10th-round stoppage at Coba Hall, Detroit, Michigan. Later that year, his 4-round destruction of Juan Roldan, 63-2, to claim the vacant WBC middleweight title made Hearns a 4-weight world champion. In a huge upset, Hearns lost his WBC middleweight title to Iran Barkley via 3rd-round TKO in June 1988 in About Ring magazine named 1988 Upset of the Year. In November that year, Hearns returned to win another world title, defeating James Kington, 44-3, via a majority decision to win the inaugural WBO super middleweight title. Hearns became the first boxer to win a world title in 5 weight divisions. Hearns had to wait until 1989 for a rematch with Sugar Ray Leonard, this time for Leonard's WBC super middleweight title, and Hearns's WBO title. This was Hearns's 6th super fight, a fight which much of the public believed Hearns won, flooring Leonard in both the 3rd and 11th rounds. However, the judges scored the fight a controversial draw. Hearns had one last great performance in 1991, as he challenged the undefeated WBA light heavyweight champion Virgil Hill. In Hill's 11th defense of the title, Hearns returned to his amateur roots, and outboxed the champion to win a convincing decision, and add a 6th world title to his illustrious career. On March 20, 1992, Hearns lost this title on a split decision to old foe Iran Barkley but continued to compete, and won his next 8 bouts. On June 23, 1997, Hearns appeared on a WWF telecast, performing in a storyline where he was taunted and challenged by professional wrestler Bret Hitman Hart, who claimed that Hearns stole the Hitman nickname. Hearns ended up attacking Jim Neidhart and knocking him down with a series of punches before officials entered the ring and broke up the confrontation. On November 6, 1998, Hearns had a boxing fight which featured a rare double knockdown. In it, Hearns and opponent Jay Snyder landed punches simultaneously during the very first round, Hearns a devastating right hand to Snyder's chin, and Snyder a left jab to Hearns's chin. Hearns was able to get up before the referee's count reached 10 seconds, Snyder was not, and Hearns won by first-round knockout. On April 10, 1999, Hearns traveled to England and beat Nate Miller by unanimous decision to win the EBO cruiserweight title. In his next fight in April 2000 he lost the title to Uriah Grant. The first round was competitive, with Hearns appearing hurt by a solid right to the jaw. Both fighters traded blows in the second round until Hearns appeared to injure his right ankle. He was forced to retire injured at the end of the round. The crowd booed, and Hearns took the microphone and promised his fans that he would be back. Hearns fought twice more, winning both fights by TKO. His final fight was on February 4, 2006 against Shannon Landberg. Hearns's family is a fixture on the Detroit sports scene. His mother, Lois Hearns, is a fight promoter. Their company, Hearns Entertainment, has promoted many cards, including the Mike Tyson-Andrew Gallant bout in 2000. His son Ronald Hearns is also a boxer, and he fought on the undercard of his father's last couple of fights. Hearns lives in Southfield, Michigan, a suburb of Detroit. Hearns serves as a reserve police officer with the Detroit Police Department. Due to personal financial issues, Hearns was forced to auction off his possessions at the auction block of Detroit, Michigan, on April 3, 2010. Items included were a 1957 Chevy, 47 fountain boat, and a slew of collectible memorabilia. His debt to the IRS was $250,000. He took responsibility for repaying the entire debt, which he said was accrued from being overly generous toward his large extended family. In 2012, Hearns was ticketed for parking in the middle of the road. He subsequently paid the ticket. His ticketing was featured in Parking Wars. Hearns has a professional record of 67 fights, with 61 wins, 5 losses, and 1 draw.